My dearest brothers and sisters. This is Hakann speaking. I greet you in peace and love. Often in spiritual messages it is said that you should do things that make you feel good or that produce joy. Yes, this is true. If we are talking about things that feel good on a soul level. If something feels good or produces joy on a soul level, then yes, do it. Your soul is also the source of your intuition, so equivalently you could say, if your intuition tells you to do something, and it's not emotion or bias that you are confusing for intuition, then do it. However, it's pretty rare for people on Earth to encounter something that feels good to them on a soul level. What exactly that feels like varies from person to person, but think of something like a passion, like you can do it all day. You won't have to suppress any parts of yourself to do it, it will be good for you and it will produce happiness and energy for you. That's pretty rare. Some people live their entire lives without ever finding the thing or things that make them feel good on a soul level. Far more common on Earth is that something feels good not on a soul level but on an emotional level. And while you should do things that feel good on a soul level, it's not always a good idea to do things that feel good on an emotional level. One extreme example of this is that some Earth humans are sadists and to them it feels emotionally good to hurt people. So, should they hurt people? No, because that doesn't feel good on a soul level. So this is one example of something that feels good on an emotional level but not on a soul level, and you should not necessarily do those kinds of things. Okay, maybe now you say alright, of course don't harm others. But also to some people it feels emotionally good in the moment to eat a pile of junk food. To some people, it feels good to have sex with someone even if it's obvious beforehand that this will be a net negative for them in the medium term. To some people, the thought of doing something challenging may very well feel emotionally scary or unpleasant, but doing that challenging thing may very well be a good idea in the medium term. As you can see, just because something feels good emotionally, doesn't necessarily mean you should do it. Similarly, just because a situation or person feels good emotionally, doesn't necessarily mean that the situation or person is good. Just because a situation or person feels bad emotionally, doesn't necessarily mean that the situation or person is bad. Again, this judgment is only accurate if something or someone feels good on a soul level. For example, to one person, a meadow with horses is a very peaceful scene that makes them feel happy. So this person would say that this is a positive situation and horses are kind and positive beings. Another person may be afraid of horses or fell off a horse recently, and this person experiences fear from being near to horses. This person would say that the situation is negative and that horses are destructive, flighty, selfish beings. Obviously both people can't be right, and hence we conclude that just because something or someone feels good emotionally to you, doesn't mean that it's objectively good. Some spiritual people have an emotionally positive reaction to Trump and say that they're sure that Trump is a good man, and some spiritual people have an emotionally negative reaction to Trump and say they're sure that Trump is a bad man. Obviously one of these emotional reactions isn't an objective and truthful evaluation of the man. If we beamed up certain Earth humans and showed them that occasionally we have what you would think of as orgies, then those certain Earth humans might say that these orgies are bad things and we are bad people. Yet other Earth humans who saw the same scene might think that this looks amazing and that we must be good people because we're so open and sex positive. It can't be true that both of these people's emotions have made an objectively true evaluation of us. Also, someone who suppresses their pain or who mimics spiritually advanced beings may very well come across as someone who is more spiritually advanced than someone who just acts normal and authentic. Even though authenticity from our point of view is usually an expression of more advanced spirituality than someone who puts on a spiritual act. It is easy to say something like, "Every day is a gift, I feel so blissful and so grateful and so connected to all of life, I am living my purpose, I am exactly where I need to be. Everything aligns, my life is amazing and filled with magic." And if someone genuinely feels all of those things, then that's amazing and we're happy for them, and of course it is fine if they express that. But most people on Earth who express something like that, don't actually fully feel that way. Or they only feel that way because they have suppressed all their other emotions, which is ultimately unhealthy. Or perhaps they do feel that way, but only briefly during a few peak moments of their life, and they are not sharing all the times when they were angry or anxious or crying uncontrollably. It's not even true that your emotions will accurately tell you if a certain situation is good for you personally. For example, If you are addicted to drugs and your family stages an intervention, then that situation may very well feel unpleasant and painful to you. You may feel threatened and unsafe. And some spiritual messages would have you believe that every situation in which you feel scared and an emotional pain is automatically a bad or negative situation. But it's entirely possible that this intervention is in fact good for you in the medium term. Yes, your loved ones who are staging an intervention are, in that moment, making you feel unsafe and threatened, from the earth perspective that it is other people who cause emotions in you. However, even though they are causing you to feel bad emotionally, that doesn't mean that they're evil or that they're harming you or that the situation is bad for you. Similarly, emotionally it probably does not feel good to observe pain if it comes up. And yet it often is a good idea to do so, and usually that's less painful and more productive than your emotions were trying to lead you to believe. As another example, suppose you just entered into a romantic relationship with someone who has abusive tendencies. It is entirely possible that in the moment you will feel good, because you're in love and you just entered into a relationship and your rose-tinted goggles means that you're not seeing the negative aspects of this other person. However, the situation is probably not good because the person has abusive tendencies, no matter how emotionally good you may feel at that moment. Along these same lines, intuitive eating is the idea that you should just eat what you feel like eating. Yes, if your soul wants you to eat something, then yes, you should eat that. But if you emotionally want something, then it is not necessarily a good idea to eat that thing. For example, emotionally eating junk food may not be wise. So, in summary, if something feels good to you on a soul level, yes, do it, and yes, this is a positive situation or person. If something feels good to you on an emotional level, then it's not necessarily true that you should do it, and it's not necessarily true that this is a positive situation or person. Note that the vast majority of the time when you feel something, you are feeling emotions and you are not feeling something that comes from your soul. You can think of your emotions as a sometimes biased advisor. It's good to listen to your emotions advisor, they may give you valuable information, however following your emotions doesn't always lead to great situations. Your advisor is biased, after all. Some higher dimensional beings may tell you to listen to your emotions, because that works for them and their emotional advisor isn't biased. Similarly, maybe you subconsciously remember past lives when your own emotions advisor wasn't biased, and you could just follow your emotions. And that's beautiful, but in this current life, it's almost certain that your emotions advisor is biased, because of all the pain and trauma and darkness and mainstream media disinformation on Earth right now. That's not your fault, but it's still good to be aware of that. How do you know whether something feels good on a soul level basis? Don't worry, you will recognize it. As stated, think of something like a passion, like you can do it all day. You won't have to suppress any parts of yourself to do it, it will be good for you and it will produce happiness and energy for you. And if you're in doubt, you can always ask your soul. See the previous message Hakann, how to talk to your soul. Of course, things can be a net positive for you even if you're not getting the signal of this feels good on a soul level basis. For example, a romantic relationship that doesn't satisfy all those things I said in the previous paragraph may very well still be a relationship that's a net positive to you and that's worth being in. It's not always a good idea to dump your partner just because they don't satisfy all the things I laid out in the previous paragraph. Similarly, even if you're not currently doing a job that feels good to you on a soul basis, it's not necessarily smart to quit that job right now. Note that if you feel a repulsion or judgment or anger about something, then that's usually not coming from your soul and it's usually not your intuition. Instead, usually that's coming from your emotions. If it comes from your soul, it might be a more neutral, I don't resonate with this, let's go do something else. Or it will be a gentle nudge away from something, or a subtle and slight disinterest in doing something. So, if we shouldn't always do what our emotions say, how should we make decisions or evaluate situations or people? Well, if you can talk to your soul or have access to genuine intuition, that's great. If you can't do that yet, then for now you have to use the regular Earth method of do research, use your brain, listen to emotions, talk to other people and weigh it all up in the end. If you can't talk to your soul yet, it's probably a good idea to focus on your own self-improvement and spiritual growth and possibly being good and kind to the people around you, and not yet spending too much time loudly proclaiming what and who is good, what and who is evil and how society should be structured. You can have an opinion, sure, But until you're able to talk to your soul or access your intuition, it's probably best to hold on to your opinion somewhat loosely. After all, 10 years ago you were sure of things that now you have different opinions on, right? Sometimes the wisest thing you can say is, I don't know. Finally, note that helping humanity is helping yourself, and helping yourself, in a way that doesn't harm others, is helping humanity. So it's not selfish to take the time to spiritually develop yourself first. I hope today's message was of service. I understand that the situation on Earth is very confusing, and you have my utmost respect, because I think you lightworkers are navigating it exceptionally well. Your star brother, Hakann.